All right, this is day 3 of the project. December 28th, obviously, and it's about the S55 AMG. It's an M113K. It's a 2003. So this is just my card, so I know what I'm doing with when I do the videos. Well, I think I learned the obvious today, and I learned it from my good acquaintance, Forrest. Now, obviously, nobody's ever met Forrest. He might be like Harvey the Rabbit, but I can tell you that he's better than Harvey the Rabbit. So let me grab a plug. Oh, here's a nasty one. So I'm taking these plugs out, which appear to be original equipment from this Mercedes S55 M113K. And I tell you, taking these plugs out has been terrifying and difficult at the same time. Terrifying because no matter what I do, you see all the rust and corrosion on this thing, it grabs on to those spark plug holes like death warmed over. I mean, I literally have to use a leverage to get them out the whole way. It isn't just break it loose a few turns. I literally have had to use a breaker bar like this. Yes, you heard me. What is that thing, 2 feet long? I could not remove it using a simple ratchet. And that was true of every plug I took out so far. And I've taken out a lot of plugs. Realize there's 16 plugs in this thing. I've taken out 8. And I was terrified that I was going to gall, strip, or ruin the cylinders because they're aluminum. I mean, it's a 2003 AMG 113K. That's what you'd expect. So I went to Forrest today, and I showed him the plugs, and I told him the story, and I said, man, it's killing me. So he looked it over, and he made a suggestion. He says, crank them out half, 3/4 of a turn, and then stop. And then he said, put your favorite PB Blaster in. Woo, PB Blaster. And so I thought, okay, his point being that if you roll this thing out a turn and 3/4 of a turn, when the PB Blaster hits at the bottom of the spark plug well, that the PB Blaster will then coat the rest of the threads. And I thought, well, that makes sense. And he said, a lot of people think of PB Blaster as being this sort of spray it on and it instantly does its thing. Well, we all know that's not true. So that's what I did. I run around the car. I did the 4 remaining spark plugs over there, about 3/4 of a turn. I did the 4 remaining here, and then I sprayed some PB Blaster into the tube, inverted it, shoved it down to the bottom of the spark plug well, and just filled the crap out of the spark plug well. Okay. Now, his comment was, wait a day before you go at it again. Well, I'm an impatient person. I think like everybody else on the planet. What I want is I want now. So I just for grins, I took this little tiny, 1/2-inch socket, and it's turning like butter. I sprayed this spark plug well and spark plug probably about 20 minutes ago. It's either broken or it's magic. There is no longer any resistance. I could not do this one-handed. If you'd seen me using a breaker bar or this, it was mind-boggling. And generally, I was terrified. I kept thinking, I'm going to strip this. It's going to be a disaster. I'm going to have the heads taken off, helicoiled, all this terrible stuff. But lo and behold, I was smart enough, I guess, after 8 plugs, to ask the help of a very accomplished mechanic, Forrest, here in Franklin, Wisconsin. And I always go up and I ask Forrest questions. He and I have known each other for a fair amount of time. I trust him. He's got great intuition. He's good at what he does. I have him work on my Camaro and do some other things for me. But I've always been impressed that he's cool-headed and he's practical. And lo and behold, although it should be obvious to everybody but me, this was worked great. I mean, I could do this, well, I'm doing it with 2 fingers. This is the way a spark plug removal is supposed to go. We then discussed anti-seize. Now, the current philosophy is, with all the manufacturers, NGK, etc., is that you don't want to put anti-seize on spark plug threads. It's a big controversy. It's like asking what kind of oil you use. You don't want to use copper because it doesn't react well with aluminum. And they say you should use a nickel-based anti-seize if you're going to use any at all. And I thought, okay. So I've done some research, and it appears that these nickel-based anti-seize compounds do not interact with aluminum heads. Now you're going to see this big reveal. We're going to pull this thing out. You're going to be here while we do it. Let's see if it worked. Oh my God. That is night and day better. I don't have a spark plug in my collection that's even remotely like this. This is the one that had the PB blaster shoved down into the spark plug well, let it soak for, like I said, 30 minutes. It's taken all the corrosion off. And lo and behold, it's pretty darn clean. Here's one that didn't have the treatment. So, life is good. Now, he did make a comment on some of the ones that were black. I don't have exactly the ones here. He said that it reflects carbon from the combustion process that's come up from the plug up this direction. And he sometimes believes that that's just exhaust gases slowly migrating up the threads. Now, I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. But lo and behold, that spark plug came out like butter. And given what I've gone through, I am so glad that I asked for help. I guess I better put this over here, number it. Overall, it looks okay. Boy, that center anode that's one worn away little thing. It looks good. It looks tan on the center ceramic. So the controversy with anti-seize is it can, one, if it's copper, combine with the aluminum for a reaction, sort of defeating the purpose of why you had this situation, why you did it to begin with. And that would be a bad thing. The other thing is that it does create some electrical resistance. And remember, we're talking about some fairly sophisticated ignition systems now. I'm not sure how sophisticated ones were in, let's see, I gotta use 2 hands. The 2003, but he said you get engine coats because you don't get good grounding if you coat the threads of the spark plug with too much anti-seize. Trying to avoid what I'm showing you today, you will reduce the electrical flow, creating an error message, and that makes sense. So what he does, when he feels it's necessary, he'll take the nickel-based anti-seize. I couldn't find any in the local parts store. I'm going to have to order it. And puts the thinnest amount on it. Just the thinnest amount. And he actually puts it up here, right at the top. Just a thin coat. He says you don't want to goop up the threads. He just said just enough that you get just a touch of anti-seize on it and then leave it be. Now, do we have a controlled study that says this is going to make a difference? I don't know, but I can tell you, I do not want to pull out spark plugs again, using a breaker bar for the entire removal of spark plug. I mean, it's a nightmare, as you can imagine. So, interesting, productive day. I'm going to go work on putting a speaker in a 2015 Prius. Never done that before. So I hope you're all having a great day. Be happy. And, oh, it snowed here today. Let's see if I can show that. Oh, let's see if the snow's still out there. I hope it is. Oh, there's my lovely bike. Hopefully this summer I'll be back on it. Oh, yeah. It's snowing, baby. Gotta love it. December 28th. It's snowing. I think it was like 2 or 3 inches out there. It is gorgeous. I do love the snow. What can I say? It's so nice. But I also like the sun, and I like the heat, and I like the rain. So pretty much I'm a sucker for anything environmental. So everybody have a wonderful day. Like I said, love y'all. Bye.